Guys, word reaching me is that the tea about Beyoncé being Solange's mother and not her sister is making a serious comeback, and this time it is coming from someone who was sitting right inside the inner circle. I am talking about Mama Tina's ex-husband and Beyoncé's former stepfather, Richard Lawson, who has allegedly been spilling the deepest secrets of the Knowles family ever since that messy divorce. And based on what I have heard, he has been actively fueling the rumors that Solange is not Beyoncé's sister, but her biological daughter. I went down this rabbit hole myself, and boy, I was not prepared for what I found. Now here is what I find most interesting about the Richard Lawson and Tina Knowles divorce settlement in 2024. The biggest detail was not the money, it was the gag order. Court documents revealed a strict non-disclosure agreement preventing Richard from ever publicly discussing the Knowles family. Given that he was married to Tina for years and was clearly privy to the real family dynamics, this NDA looks like far more than a standard legal formality. Did he try to use what he knew as leverage during that $300,000 settlement? That remains unclear, but the clause itself is very telling. So let me break down what is already out there, and you be the judge. Someone who claimed to work for the Department of Health in Texas allegedly uncovered a birth certificate listing Beyoncé's birth year as 1974, not 1981. Others have pointed to footage from the Michael Jackson Victory Tour in 1984, where Beyoncé appeared far older than 3 years old. If she was actually 9 or 10 at the time, that places her birth year right at 1974. There are also claims that video footage of Beyoncé dancing before that tour once existed but was completely scrubbed from the internet by her team because it contradicted the official birth year. And if you think that sounds far-fetched, remember that her team has already demonstrated a willingness to remove content from the internet before, including those infamous unflattering Super Bowl photographs. Another detail theorists frequently point to is Gabrielle Union, born in 1972, who has spoken about being friends with Beyoncé during their teenage years. If the official timeline is accurate, Gabrielle would have been 18 while Beyoncé was only 9. That friendship simply does not make sense. However, if Beyoncé was actually born in 1974, the two would have been just 2 years apart, making everything Gabrielle has said perfectly logical. Did she accidentally reveal the truth because she has always known Beyoncé as someone her own age? In the early 2000s, a former Columbia Records employee also claimed that Solange is Beyoncé's biological daughter. This individual stated that while working at the label, they were exposed to numerous industry secrets, and the one claim they said they could actually verify was Solange's true parentage, having allegedly seen a driver's license on a manager's computer confirming the 1974 birth year. According to this source, there's a 14-year age gap between the two, making a teenage pregnancy entirely consistent with the timeline. The Girls' Time era also raises serious questions. The Star Search footage is commonly dated to 1993, but sources claim it was actually filmed in the 1980s. Group member Nikki Taylor was reportedly born in 1975. So if 1993 is accurate, why would an 18-year-old be performing in a youth group alongside an 11-year-old? The ages do not add up. And notably, Nikki's Wikipedia page reflecting her birth year was reportedly removed, which many see as a deliberate attempt to eliminate the digital trail. It is also worth noting that lying about a young entertainer's age was completely normalized back then. The recent Michael Jackson biopic literally showed him being told to claim he was 8 when he was actually 10 because it was better for business. The story was also allegedly confirmed by a family cousin named Angel, who, after being embarrassed by Beyoncé at a Christmas gathering, reportedly told staff members that Solange is actually Beyoncé's biological daughter. She also allegedly mentioned that the family used to joke about Beyoncé having baby-bearing hips at a very young age, which some have interpreted as a coded reference to that early pregnancy. You decide whether a cousin made all of this up over a holiday argument or whether she revealed something the family had been hiding for decades. As for who the father might be, speculation has long pointed to Beyoncé's former boyfriend Lindell Lockett, who dated her when she was quite young and reportedly bears a strong physical resemblance to Solange. Lindell has always been painted as the bitter, fumbling ex, but what if that entire narrative was carefully constructed by Beyoncé's team to keep attention away from the bigger secret? Because behind the image of a devoted young woman on a celibacy journey, there have been long-standing rum. Allegedly painting Lindell as the villain and positioning Beyoncé as the devoted young woman who always wanted to wait until marriage was never accidental. It was a calculated move designed to further discredit any suggestion that she could be Solange's birth mother. And if you pay close attention to Tina's memoir and the interviews that followed, you will notice something interesting. She speaks extensively about Beyoncé and Solange, while saying remarkably little about herself. According to some, this was deliberate. Tina's way of cementing a very specific version of events into the historical record before anyone could challenge it. Now, as for Richard Lawson, allegedly fueling these rumors, the motive is not difficult to understand. Many believe that Richard is still deeply hurt by the way he was portrayed in Tina's memoir. For a man who served as a father figure to that family for nearly a decade, being reduced to little more than a footnote or a mistake in a best-selling book is not something you simply move on from. If Richard feels that his role in their lives has been deliberately erased or rewritten, it stands to reason that he would feel far less obligated to protect their secrets. And here is the detail that should make everyone stop and pay attention. The 2024 divorce settlement specifically included language banning Richard from discussing present or future grandchildren. Not just family matters generally, but grandchildren specifically. Why would such precise language be necessary unless there was something particular about the grandchildren that needed to be protected? If the theory that Solange is Beyoncé's biological daughter holds any truth, then Solange's son Jules is technically Beyoncé's grandson. By signing away his right to speak about the grandchildren, Richard effectively signed away his right to ever clarify the true lineage of the entire Knowles family. That is not standard divorce language, that is damage control. Word on the street is that Richard has been having some very candid conversations within his circle. Now, I want to be clear, Richard Lawson is a professional. And if information is finding its way out, it is far more likely coming from those around him rather than directly from him. But either way, the question still stands, and it deserves an answer. Do you believe there is any truth to the theory that Solange is actually Beyoncé's daughter and not her sister? I want to know exactly where you stand. Sound off in the comments section below.